Don't blame Dae-ho. Gi-hun's plan in Squid Game Season 2 had a much bigger flaw. It's unfair to blame Dae-ho's apparent cowardice or post-traumatic response in a Squid Game Season 2 finale without considering Gi-hun's flawed plan. At the end of Squid Game Season 2, Dae-ho reveals his true colors by failing to gather more ammunition for his fellow players turned rebels. This results in the execution of several players who followed Gi-hun's plan to fight against the pink guards and ambush the front man. There are signs that there is something up with Dae-ho in Squid Game Season 2, which raises the question of whether he was ever in the Marines like he claimed to be. Dae-ho has become one of the more controversial characters in the second season of Squid Game, with some viewers empathizing with Dae-ho's predicament, while others criticize him for being a coward. The fact that there are two equal sides to the Dae-ho coin makes it one of the more intellectually stimulating philosophical questions that Squid Game Season 2 has to offer. Similar to Upham's failure to intervene as a comrade was killed in Saving Private Ryan, Dae-ho's inaction can be said to have caused the deaths of others. The truth about Dae-ho should be explored in Squid Game Season 3. Dae-ho bringing the mags wouldn't have made much difference in Squid Game Season 2's finale. Even if Dae-ho brought the ammunition to the other Squid Game rebels, it would not have affected the outcome of Squid Game Season 2. Once Dae-ho entered the safety of the players' quarters, he hid for cover beneath one of the bunk beds, exhibiting what appeared to be symptoms of past or present trauma. The fact that he didn't return with the ammo actually led Cho-hyun-ju, player 120, back to safety. She likely would have been killed with the rest of the rebels who stayed to fight the pink guards if she hadn't gone back to check on Dae-ho. Imagine that Dae-ho heroically returned with the magazines and was able to hand them over to Cho-hyun-ju and others in the nick of time. The gunfight would have continued and they could have taken out more pink guards. Even in the best-case scenario where Dae-ho was the hero, they would all have walked into the front man's trap. Even in the best-case scenario where Dae-ho was the hero, they would all have been walking into the front man's trap. The front man was the only person in control of the situation. More pink guards would eventually have arrived to kill Dae-ho, Han-ju, and others, or the front man would have done it himself if they made it that far. The real problem with Gi-hun's plan was trusting Yeonil. Dae-hun could have been more cautious with his rebellion plan. Blaming Dae-ho for his apparent cowardice misses the entire point of Squid Game Season 2's ending. Whether Dae-ho was actually a Marine or not is one thing, but Gi-hun, as their leader, essentially walked them all into a trap because he somewhat blindly trusted Yeonil. There were enough signs for Gi-hun to suspect that Yeonil was not an innocent victim and fellow player, the most obvious being that he was wearing the same Player 001 uniform as Upham, the Squid Game's creator from Season 1. Yeonil deceived Gi-hun, so the blame can't fall entirely on him or Dae-ho. Casting blame on Dae-ho or Gi-hun for being sabotaged by In-ho isn't just. Yes, the actions and slash or inactions of both characters cost people their lives, such as at the beginning of the rebellion when the O-team ambushed the X-team. Viewers can blame Gi-hun for allowing those murders to happen to spark the rebellion, just like Dae-ho can be chastised for cowering in a clutch moment. Gi-hun is typically praised for instilling hope, but In-ho made sure there wasn't a real chance. While both can cause outrage from an observer's perspective, they were acts of desperation in a hopeless situation. Gi-hun is typically praised for instilling hope, but In-ho made sure there wasn't a real chance. Dae-ho not coming back might have secretly saved Han-ju in Squid Game Season 3. Whether Dae-ho is a liar or not, he still has his life in Season 3. Following the rebellion in the Squid Game Season 2 finale, the pink guards arrive at the players' quarters to ensure that all remaining players are back in their rooms. Since Han-ju went back for Dae-ho, it seems as though she won't be executed like the two other players who surrendered. It appears that Dae-ho's cowardice or PTSD response lured Han-ju back to safety, even at the expense of the other players. It's tragic that those players died waiting for Dae-ho's help, and Dae-ho is not entirely innocent, but he will be alive at the start of Squid Game Season 3.